So, are there any other proposals that people would like to bring to the table today?
Well, my things were a proposal of, I guess, consensus on our design principles for one, and consensus for us to start focusing on February 1st education rally. And
okay. Can we go one proposal at a time? Because it sounds like there's two there.
yeah, there's
So one proposal
three,
that you'd like to make today is that basically this group ratify this document?
Yep.
Was this document, I wasn't not here at last week's GA, was this brought to the full GA last week?
Yep.
Yes, it was.
And everything but number 3 came to consensus. And number 3 was sent back to be reworded on the precision of it, precision of solidarity statements and precision of support, so that it's in the context of an action or a piece. Something like that.
Yeah, just to say, I've got the old one as well, which I can read out when we come to the point of making the discussion or making the decision, just for context and that.
So the proposal then would be that we go through the process today of looking at those modifications and passing this document?
Yeah.
And they have to do with, on information, as Paul was saying, they have to do with any guidelines or a consensus on how we should go forward when we're approaching different actions. And the great things, such as always being positive and peaceful, being open to new tactics, reaching out to other groups and identifying common causes and whatnot. It's put into a lot better wording, very articulated. So I encourage people to kind of browse it over.
Okay. And then it sounded like you had a second proposal that related to a February 1st event?
Yeah. Well, we just wanted to start focusing on the next couple of events, and kind of got consensus that it was the education on February 1st. Roy suggested that there's 2 events going simultaneously, one at Trent University while the event is going on downtown. And kind of thought it'd be important to have at least 2 members, one young, one old, at Trent University, while the bodies support the event downtown.
So the proposal would be that the General Assembly adopt the motion to have 2 actions going on at the same time on February 1st, one at Trent, one downtown.
Well, the real proposal is consensus that we can start working on these 2 issues. The education rally, Parliament Hill rally, as the next work that direct action will do. Now, if we're given the consensus, next GA, we can put forth a proposal of what we would like to do.
Okay, so can the Direct Action Committee work on the Parliament Hill issue and the education issue?
It's fun information. I sat on the outreach meeting on Monday or Tuesday, and they brought up the Occupy talk, which people might not be aware of. So the two things that are going on February 1st at 1 p.m. at exactly the same time, which is really unfortunate. One of them is a professor, Nadine Changefoot, is putting on an Occupy talk and has invited somebody from Occupy Toronto and wanted to invite participation from Occupy Peterborough. And then there was also somebody from Occupy Peterborough, Colin, whose brother is involved with Occupy Ottawa. So this is happening at Trent on February 1st. And so this appears to be more of a promotions piece. The other action that's happening simultaneously is there's a National Day of Action on Education. And it was proposed at the last GA by Gloria and Lindsay to make that this is an Occupy issue, as this comes out of the concept of debt and the concept of austerity and how it's disproportionately affecting marginalized students and students who don't come directly from high school and have to work, or mature students and whatnot. So they proposed it then. So these are the 2 events, and it's at 1 p.m. Confederation Park. Trent's involved. They were contacting Fleming. And then we were pitching it to PCBS at that meeting as well. So we're trying to make it a Peterborough Connecting Common Causes kind of education event. So those are the 2 things that are happening, and we got consensus at the last GA to go forward with them. So I think it's talking about how to go about these 2 things.
Okay, I am a little confused as to what the direct proposal on this issue is. Can anybody help me?
I think the direct proposal would be, Outreach was talking with the Occupy Talk, and it was how to go about representing Occupy Peterborough. They had put forward sending, Steve Martin was nominated to talk through Outreach. He's not here today. But then they wanted to, hasn't really been mandated for Outreach or anything to represent Occupy Peterborough. So they wanted to put forward, how would you like us to do this?
Okay, so
So
basically seeking whether or not Outreach has a mandate to represent Occupy in the community?
Yeah.
Is that what other people are understanding?
Do we make it general or do we make it particular?
We'll discuss that.
Probably both, right?
Yeah. All right, and then we'll break
So
that
I'm just
apart.
trying to pinpoint down the actual proposal.
Yeah. Does that
So
sound good?
can,
And so Outreach.
okay. Are there any more proposals?
This is the geeky one from communications. The Google groups.
Yeah.
We were mandated at the second GA to pursue online platforms, as I said, and so we have a Facebook page, we have Twitter, and email, and so trying and kind of bringing them forward one at each GA. And so this one has to do with the working groups and the committees, is to kind of consolidate and allow people to have open and inclusive an email address. And so we and other occupations use these Google groups, and it kind of acts as a listserv, which people might be more familiar with. And so we started pursuing it and checking it out, and the groups that are using it have been using it with some success. And I can describe it more in the discussion piece, but we would like then to propose that the committees and the working groups start using these resources.
Specifically the Google groups.
Specifically the Google groups. Yeah.
Point of clarification. So everybody, the direct action group would put everything that they're discussing into this thing so everybody can see what's going on in the process as it progresses?
Would you like me to describe a Google group?
Okay, can we maybe wait until we actually get to that piece and then we can start that off as a point of information to
Sounds
get
good.
people focused in? Are there any more proposals?
I got one. We might do well to have
Could we
something
have
that,
a name just for the minutes?
my name is Judd, J.D. We might do well to have a committee that would have a sexy name like Insight Committee or the Community Insight or the Indigenous Insight Committee that would have a more formal responsibility of trying to get a temperature from the local First Nations as to how we're doing and to what we should be doing. And we could go to the communities and do some kind of community service. And in the course of that community service, try to get a temperature for how we're doing. Just a proposal for the insight or the Indigenous Insight
So
Committee.
the proposal would be that we create a committee, that's a Community Insight Committee to work directly with Indigenous people in our community and creating those links.
We might want to call it Indigenous Insight, just to make it very clear.
Are there any more proposals? Could I actually just get a time check from someone?
It's 10 to 3.
It's 10 to 3, okay. So that leaves us with an hour and 10 minutes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 proposals. And just before we get to them, as a point of, I guess, sort of process and clarification, as we form working groups, as we get together in committees, part of the role in this kind of a process of those committees is to try to get a bunch of the work done and to come directly to the GA, basically to ask the GA to ratify things. At the beginning of a piece of work, those groups will often have to come and basically get a temperature check, right? And be like, is this the right direction-ish, or whatever. But I really want to encourage, in terms of process, people, so to speak, getting their homework done, but also people, you know, taking an assertive stance with proposals and trying to learn how to voice them in a way that you could write down the proposal in the minutes. It's a really difficult task to try to take big ideas and kind of zone them in. But the General Assembly, I would say, is a less effective place to bring sort of really cloudy beginning ideas. Those are the things that should be brought to committees that are relevant to those areas to get figured out, worked on, etc. And then when those ideas are sort of more crystallized, or when you have a very specific question, the General Assembly, in my way of seeing things, is the very effective place to bring that step, right? So, like I said, it's not an easy process sometimes to whittle that stuff down, but just in terms of us being able to move forward, until for instance, if you have a direct action that you want to propose that's just come up and there's no time between now and the next direct action meeting, it makes perfect sense to bring it to the General Assembly. But if it's something you've been thinking about, please bring it to that committee and join that committee so that when we hear about it at the General Assembly, all the people who've been involved in direct action committee have already talked about it, and what's being brought to this group is the general thoughts from that committee, not people kind of still trying to figure it out from that point.
Just say that all one more time. Just kidding.
My process proposal is that we go through the hard journey of learning how to make very clear proposals.
One clarification.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Could we just maybe get the times when these groups meet somewhere online or somewhere set that we can deal with that?
We'll do this as a proposal, I guess, right now. Is that possible? Or an announcement, possibly.
Do you want to add that as a proposal?
Add that to comms piece then, because we have a few things we've been working on. We can bring those forward now. So I'll talk more about comms.
So yeah, when we get to that proposal, we'll add on
Okay.
winter meetings.
That's interesting.
Just also, as a point of clarification about what we're talking about is, I wondered if anyone with experience with other occupiers, if there was any kind of protocol that people were using to post a proposal on Google Doc first, everybody works on it and it's sort of finished and ready to present, or, you know, I mean, we've been sort of, sometimes we email different lists and it doesn't go out to everybody and some groups and some, so is there, I just wondered, is there a protocol that exists already that we can
Add that
follow
to
on
comms.
that?
So I just want to try to keep us to process, so we're going to go in the order that proposals came out, but definitely that's something to look at when we get to the comms committee proposal, is like, what is the protocol others have been following.